This is a channeling from THOTH. I was not going to do one this week, and he has asked me to. So it will be unproduced and perhaps more close and personal. He's also offered to allow me to begin to ask specific questions. And so I'm asking this. Can you give us a clearer sense of the key elements that will change in the world ahead, the new earth? What will help us align most with the Gaian mind? And with this, I give you THOTH. There are very few changes that will make as big a difference as centering yourself with the reality of why you are here. To reconnect with your soul is to accept that you made a choice. All thoughts, insights, perspectives that you may hold that deny the core presence of this choice will be a lie. They may be benign or gentle, or even simply something that misleads you into a quiet understanding of your presence. Nonetheless, it will not be true. To be with the truth is to know yourself and to take full responsibility for being here. No one made you do this. And to return into the essence of this choice is to be present with yourself in a way you need. The key transition as you imagine into the future is to recognize yourself, complete with your soul here. The consequences of this presence are drastic. This is not a continuation of the way of being you have been in. The many ways in which your future, if you remain here, will change are substantial enough that it is significantly less possible to anticipate the future without shifting some of the core elements of the way you see being alive. 1, you will sleep less, much less in many cases. Sleep, far more than you comprehend, is directly tied both to karmic digestion and to a rhythm of consciousness that enables you to be present with your higher self, your soul, in ways that allow you to be here in an earthly body in what may be considered a training period. You are still in the training. From this vantage, it is difficult to comprehend why you have done it this way. But try. The truth is ensconced within your soul. Your soul cannot believe a lie. It is only your earthly consciousness that is capable of being present here in that way. The reasons are many. The consequences last until you have digested your karma enough to invite the truth into your presence. As you do, you align yourself with the truth of your soul. Your soul cannot be here without this alignment. As it begins to be here, the necessity of sleep diminishes. At first, this will be a struggle. It will be a tension between who you have been and who you are becoming. And I invite you, I deeply encourage you to allow this to take time, years. The critical aspects that stand in the way of this transition involve key elements of karma, which are likely currently manifested as trauma. This is purposeful. In most cases, those who bear trauma in this form have agreed to digest great amounts of karma all at once. By occupying, by embodying a victimized state in relation to the momentum of your karma, you agree to wrestle with this momentum until you are capable of transitioning from the experience of victimization into one of full responsibility. This responsibility cannot be embraced from within your understanding of this lifetime. Thus, allow this to take time, years. Next, strength. The depth of strength that you can embody within this lifetime far exceeds what you have been taught to anticipate. First and foremost, it would be preferable for you to identify with the extremes you have exalted in others, not because you need to embody these extremes, but because they are latent within you. If you do not believe it is possible, or perhaps more importantly, if you believe there is only a convoluted and extended training that makes this possible, you miss the mark. To be present with the true potential is to realize that the thresholds of human capacity are well beyond what you have considered to be possible. As you expand your awareness by emphasizing the full range of human activity throughout the course of all of history, you begin to access these potentials within yourself. They exist within you in a similar way that they exist within the human potential itself. You have the capacity to resonate with everyone who has ever experienced incarnation in a particular form. Though the choice of this harmonic resonance is far more fundamental to your nature than it may at first seem, it is critical you recognize that it is possible simply by intending to resonate with potential. In this, you may learn to recognize immediately the impediments that undermine this capacity. As you identify them, you are put in a clearer position to make choices. Thus, you will learn quite quickly that while you may want something that seems extreme to you, you are indeed capable of embodying it. You are simply choosing not to because you don't like the story that will unfold if you maintain your choice. To be present with this is to recognize that this dialogue has already been occurring within you. You've been saying yes, and then you've been saying no, and it's all you. To know this as yourself is to realize the mechanisms of power that enable you to incarnate in particular forms. Thus, to see into the future is to learn to appreciate a much broader range of expression of human consciousness than you currently inhabit. Next, power in the form of awareness. In the future, it will be consciously realized that resonance is the guide for the ways of life you follow. Thus, you will be more intimately aware of the way you choose to change yourself through attunement. Attunement is defined by attention, and attention is defined by you. To accept this responsibility is to understand consciousness as a form of navigation. You are moving your consciousness in a very tangible way. You must learn to feel. To feel the momentum of this movement is to appreciate that you are already engaged in 6-dimensional momentum in a form that is necessary for you to witness within. Without this witness, you do not unite enough attention to fully activate its true capacity. Thus, as you feel the momentum of the movement of your consciousness, you accentuate this movement. There are certain thresholds that are impossible to transcend without this united focus. Thus, until you are ready, you can't do it. Once you are ready, you begin to feel it. Once you begin to feel it, you pass where you've ever been before. Next. As you accentuate this capacity, you learn to appreciate the intense presence of your imagination. Imagination becomes united with a form both of creation and of awareness. In this united involvement, you must learn to discern the difference between that which you create and that which you focus upon. As you discern this difference, you gain depth perception in a place, in a form of awareness that you have not had it. This depth allows you to see possibilities that essentially did not exist before. They were here, but because you could not see them, you could not unite your focus with them. And because you could not unite your focus with them, you could not access them. So for all intents and purposes, they did not exist for you. This depth enables several more avenues of expression. You learn to discern where you will go by how you spend your attention. This will magnify the consequence of your choices and put you in a position to make more intentional choices through harmonic resonance. In this recognition of harmony, you will feel more presently. Your ability to feel will accentuate any remaining karma, and you will go through an even more critical depth of awakening. This depth involves a final combing, a cleansing of anything that remains of the karmic residue, the patterns that were embedded within your physicality. To appreciate the necessity of this phase is to slow down. As soon as you gain access to appreciate the power of your focus, you will likely get very excited in multiple ways. It is necessary to prepare yourself for the inevitable need to slow this process down, as life demonstrates to you that you still have more unpleasant work to do. The nature of this work will put you in a position, an ownership of responsibility, which will gracefully transition into taking responsibility over aspects of karmic residue present in the planet. You will, in this process, learn to recognize the way in which Gaia offers you the opportunity to leave the intimate pain of your personal karmas in exchange for helping her clean more general concerns. You will be very aware of the direct relationship between these forces, and as a result, you will shift your intentions to diminish the imminent desire to transcend all human potential in the forms you have begun to witness, and to gradually recognize the added depth of intimate presence that is available within the body as you accept the current constraints and get to work helping to make this a more beautiful and loving world. In this work, I invite you again to restrain yourself. You will witness intimacy in a new range of potentials. It is critical you learn to restrain this ability to see. The very act of witnessing intimacy in the forms you will recognize it, will invoke feeling in others. This is a necessary transition that is impossible to avoid. It becomes more of a concern that you restrain your involvement in situations where things do not go well for you consistently, lest you activate others in a form that is consequential in ways you do not wish to take responsibility for. Essentially, learn to restrain yourself. In this restraint, you will learn to access even deeper levels of feeling. These feelings will be shared intimately in forms that used to be restricted to partnerships. It is necessary to appreciate that the breakdown in the consistent forms of partnership that has been consistent in many demographics of humans has begun a new phase. The true gift of this phase is to accentuate your ability to share in many ways without funneling such sharing into direct forms of partnership which are entwined with copulation. To appreciate the gift of this, it is necessary to simply slow down. For some, this may seem like a less pronounced experience. And yet, it will give you the opportunity to realize that whereas in the past it was necessary to invoke intensities in order to share, now it will be necessary to restrain intensities in order to share. In a world where love is too scarce, invoking intensities becomes a cherished, sacred gift. In a world where intensities abound, and you are challenged at every turn to understand the range of feelings you are experiencing, it becomes necessary to restrain what you share until you understand it and agree to it clearly. This ability will increasingly accentuate, and there are those who will emerge who will understand themselves by their resonance. As you appreciate that to anchor new depths of resonance in the presence of the human community is a sacred challenge and responsibility. It gives the presence of the world as the world is becoming to those who can gain and maintain trust. Your trust will be invoked through us. We will keep you lit. We will keep you lit in a form that others understand and increasingly appreciate. And as they respect and even gravitate to the resonance you share from us, they will learn to recognize why we choose you. And not only have we chosen you, we will continue to choose you by maintaining the intense presence of this depth of resonance within you in a form that others can increasingly rely upon. This will be necessary because you are forging through a time of increasingly widespread confusion. The concurrence of the breakdown of old forms of societal understanding and cultural presence will put many in the increasing position of not knowing what to trust. The gift of this is that the consistency of the integrity of the presence that you give will increasingly be the foundation of the trust that others follow. In consequence, you will be part of a new way of being when others can't see anything else to trust. To appreciate that that is the role you are playing is humbling and needs to continue to be humbling. And I invite you to consider what this feels like, that you may prepare yourself to continue to hold such a sacred flame for those around you and those you are learning to love.